Masechta Bava basra daf kuf mem hey amud aleph. Um, the last piece of Gemara we learned was that we had a stira in the Mishnah. It says that a father who sent his son to be a groomsman, meaning that to bring presents to a chassan, and the din was that the chassan had to reciprocate to the one that gave it, that when he gets married, he would return a present. And our Mishnah says when he returns the present, that money goes equally to the rest of the Yashim equally. But in another brayse we said no, it goes dafka to the boy that the father sent the presents with, who gave the presents, that when he gets in return, it only goes to him. So how do we answer this theater? So Shmuel answered, which was the third answer here we're talking about, of that the chassin, that the Noisin gave the matanis on the tzivio of the father, and now the Noisin got engaged. So the one that received it had to return to him the presents because he got engaged and then he was going to get married. But before he got married, he died, and his brother was the Yavam. Says the that we were talking about a Yavam, and in the Torah it says a Yavam with the Lashon Bechayr, that we learn out that a Yavam can only inherit in his brother like a Bechayr, and just like by a Bechayr, he can only be inherit in those nechasim that the brother had at the time of the death, not in the things that will come later, not bera'ui. And since this Shushvinin, this person who received the matana had to return it, didn't return it yet, didn't give back matanas yet, is considered right because the Yavam cannot inherit it. So therefore it goes to all the brothers. So now we're going to start 7 lines in the bottom, Miklau. So we can imply from the words of Shmuel, the Idach, that person, the Mekabel, who the one who received the matanas, the first one who received the matanas from the Noisin, the one who was the groomsman. So we say Mishalim, he's mechiv to pay back the one that gave him the matanas, even though he died before the person could be even a groomsman to his wedding. Because we're talking about that he was only engaged to the woman, and that time between the engagement and the marriage was a year. Says the Gemara, why should he have to return the presents? Give me to join the simcha, and I'll be the groomsman with him so I can enjoy the simcha, and I'll give him the present. But since he died and I'm not able to join the simcha with him, I'm not mechuyev to return it. Me like Tanya, have we not learned in the Brayse in a place where the minig is to return the kesef that a woman received as a kedushin, marzinin, has to be returned, meaning if she didn't get married, we said, hey, marzinin, if it's a place where they have a minig not to return it, we don't return it. This that we said that she doesn't have to return the kedushin in a place, but there are some minhagim that she does return the kedushin. Is elashamesehi only in a case where she died? So there's minhagim that say they would have to return the kesef kedushin. Avamesu, but if the husband died or he divorced her, she doesn't have to return the kesef. My timer. What's the reason? Because she could say, give me my husband and I'll rejoice with him. I'm not the one that's holding back the marriage. You're saying the condition was with the condition to go to chuppah. I'm ready to go to chuppah. I'm ready to rejoice with my husband. So just like over there we say she doesn't have to return the kedusha because she can demand that I'm ready to go into chuppah to rejoice with my husband. Here too, the person, the mekabel, the one that received the matanas, that has to now give back matanas to the one that gave him because he's getting married. Name it. Let him say, "Nu lisha shvini v'asma bay." Give me. Make me as the groomsman to a wedding, to the simcha, so I can join the simcha and I'll give him the present. But since there's no simcha, I don't have to give the present. Rabbi Yesa said, "You're right. Really, he wouldn't have to give it. But he doesn't have to give it back if there was no wedding to rejoice." My skin here it's talking about Kekoin. That the Mekabel did receive, that the Mekabel, here it's talking about that the Mekabel did join the Simcha, and he also he joined the Shabbat Brachis. But he didn't get a chance to pay him till he died right after the Shabbat Brachis. So that's why he was mechuyev to give back, but it was roi because he didn't pay back. So the Yavam couldn't inherit it. So therefore, it went to the whole family. In fact, Iman Leima, should we say this, that Shmuel said that a Isha doesn't have to return the Kesef Kedushin because she can say, "Tnuli ba'ili v'asmachimai," give to my husband so that I can rejoice with him, so I don't have to return the Kedushin. Tanoi, so let us say it's a machlekes of Tanoi. The Tanya that we learned in Abraham Samara says, Isha, one who is mekadosh a woman and then dies or divorces her, if she was a psula at the time of the Kedushin gave Masayim, she collects 200 zuz. Amana, if she was a Amana, she collects a ksuba of Amana, Makshanagulach, and Kedushin Machzidin. In a place where the minig was to return the Kesef Kedushin, they return it. Makshanagulach, and Kedushin Machzidin. In a place where the minig was not to return the Kesef Kedushin, he doesn't return it. Divi Rabbi Nosson, those are the words of Rabbi Nosson. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi Eimer. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi says, in truth, they said, in a place where the minig is to return the Kesef Kedushin, you return it. In a place where the minig was not to return it, you don't return it. These are mamish the same words coming out of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, like Rabbi Yehuda Yedison. So for Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, Hainu Tanakama. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi is the exact same words as the Tanakama. Rather, we have to say it's talking about a case that the case where the chilik between the two Tanaim is where she said, "Give me my husband so that I can rejoice with him, and therefore I don't want to return the kedushin." So that's where the machlekes is. And the missing words in the Braisa, this is how you have to learn. Amaris says Aisha, one who is Mekadosh Isha Psula Gaid Masayim Amana collects, the Isha collects 200 zuz. If she's a Psula, or if she's Amana, she collects 100 zuz for the Ksuba. When these words said the Bayiyu, when the man retracted from the wedding, from getting married to her, he divorced her. Therefore, she takes her ksuba and the kesef kedushin. Avol meisa, but what if she died? If it's a place where they have the minik to return, they return it. A place where they don't have the minik to return, they don't return it. Dafka meisa he, only if she died. Avol meisu, but what if he died? Ein machzinim. So there's no chiyuv on the woman to return the kesef kedushin. What's the reason she doesn't have to return it? Because she can say, "Nuli baili, give me my husband, so that I can rejoice with him." I'm not holding back the marriage. So you're saying I have to give it back because the money of the kedushin was given almanas to go into chuppah. I want to go. I'm not the holdback. He is the holdback. Plus, Rabbi Yehuda Hanas Lameima, and Rabbi Yehuda Hanas came to argue. He says, in truth, they said, whether she died or he died, even if he died first, it depends on the minig. If it's a minig to return it, she returns the kesef kedushin. If it's not a minig to return it, then she doesn't return the kesef kedushin. And she cannot say, if the husband died, she can't say, I don't have to return the Kedushin if it's a minute to return it by saying, oh, give me my husband. I'm ready to rejoice. I'm not the one that's holding back. Says Gemara Light. That's not the machlekes. The Kuli Alma, everybody holds everybody holds up the svara that she can tie. I don't want to return the Kedushin because I'm not the holdback. I'm ready to rejoice with my husband. The Misu, he died. Kuli Alma like pligi. Everybody agrees that the Ish doesn't have to return the Kesser Kedushin. Keep pligi. Where are they arguing about? Shemei Sehi, that she died first. And here the argument is the Kedushin l'tibuin. If a Kedushin is made to be given forever, meaning no matter what, once you gave the Kedushin, it never has to be returned. Rav Nosson saw the Kedushin lav l'tibuin nitnu. Rav Nosson knows the Kedushin is not made to be given forever. Rav Yehuda Anasi saw it like a Kedushin l'tibuin nitnu. And Rav Yehuda Anasi holds Kedushin, Kesser Kedushin is made al das, that it's known when the man gives, he knows that he's not getting it ever. He's not getting it in return in any, never. No way that he's going to ever get back. Therefore, the husband cannot claim for it in any case. In fact, what are you talking about? Well, we learned in a place where the minig is to return it, you do return it. And Rabbi Yehuda Anasi said those words. Those are the words of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. And you're saying Rabbi Yehuda Anasi says that Kedushin is made to be given forever. So where's this such a minig that you have to return it? This is how you're going to have to interpret the kavanah of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. When he said the Makom Shanagul Lahas and Marzinin is Visivuloines. He's talking about presents that the Chazan sends to the Kala after the Kedushin. Vadai. Then I'm also made a Makom Shanagul Lahas and Marzinin. If it's a place where the minig is to return those presents, you return it. So the these Tanoim, meaning Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, Rabbi Nosson, that they're arguing in the same machlekes of the following Tanoim. The Tanya that we learned in Abraisa. Kitcha be'kikar. If he was Mekadosh, a woman with a kikar, which is worth 2,500 zuz. Psula gave Masai, the Psula collects 200, Amana collects 100. The Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda Aima, Psula gave Masai, the Psula collects 200, Amana gets 100. Umachzeres lo yisashar. And she has to return the rest of the Kedushin, which was 2,500. So if she was a Psula, she returns back 2,300. If she was Amana, 2,400. If he was Mekadosh with 20 shkolim, 20 shkolim is every shekel is 4 zuz, that's 80. He has to give back a ksuba of 15 shkolim. The Gemara will explain this later. That's what the Rashbam says. If he was Mekadosh with 30 shkolim, then in the ksuba he only has to give 20 half shkolim, which is 10 full shkolim. So what are we talking about? That what's the case that we're saying that the Isha takes a ksuba, but she has to return the Kesef Kedushin? What is the case talking about? If you're going to say that the Isha died. So that's why Rabbi Yehuda said that they have to return the Kedushin, because Kedushin is not given forever. But does she get a ksuba if she died? The only time she collects a ksuba if he dies, or he divorces her. Well, rather the case is talking about that he died. In fact, what if he died? Why does Rabbi Yehuda say that she has to return the rest of the Kedushin? By the way, we said everybody agrees, like we said before, that an Isha has the right to taina, that I'm ready to go to chuppah, I'm ready to rejoice with my husband, so she doesn't have to return the Kedushin. Why does she have to return the Kedushin if he died? Well, the way she's his soul, she's insa. Rather, it's a case of a woman that was mezana after she was engaged. She lived with another man, committed adultery. What's the case? How are we talking about that she committed adultery? Even if she did it willingly, does she get a ksuba? Where is a woman who's mezana beratzin? We know the din is that she loses the ksuba. Bella only gonna have to say be'enis. It's talking about a case that she was forced. So it says such a woman is permitted, and she's not mechuyev to divorce her husband. And if he divorces her out of his own will, why does she have to return the kesef kedushin? Rather, we're talking about the wife of a kohen that was forced, and she loses. So since she didn't commit any negligence, she didn't do beratzin, so she doesn't lose her ksuba. But the kesef kedushin she has to return. And they're arguing if a kedushin, when it's given, and there's no way of getting it back, it's given once the husband gives it, it's given permanently. A meya holds that a kedushin is given for permanent, so therefore he doesn't have to return the ksur. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda holds no, it's not given l'tibuyin, it's not given forever. Rabbi Yossi mesapkele, but Rabbi Yossi is mesupik ilitibuyin nitnu iloi, whether the kesef kedushin is given forever or not. And it's like we say, and he holds like sumchis that madman hamut b'safik chalkin. So behilka kitche be'esim, if he was makadosh with 20 shkalim is the equivalent. Every shekel is 4 zuz. 20 times 4 is 80. So if he was makadosh with 20 shkalim, so he has to deduct 10 shkalim from the ksuba, because half 10 shkalim would be 40. So, and she was left with 60. So 60 plus 40 is 100. So he has to only give 3 half shkalim. That means 15 shkalim, which adds up to 60, because she has 10 from the ksuba left over, and because we divided it, we deducted half. So she has 10 times 4 is 40, and he has to give an additional for the ksuba 15 shkalim, which is 60, makes it up to 100. Kitcha b'shleishim, if he was makadosh her with 30 shkalim, so he has to deduct 15 shkalim. So he deducts 15, which is 60. So if she's almana, nois in law, esen chatzoin, then he gives another 10 shkalim, and which is adds up to 100 again. That's 10 shkalim is 40 zuz. In every place where the minig is to return the kesef kedushin, you return it. And if the isha died before she entered the chuppah, so it's returned. They explain that these words were said for which city? Nahadol. Over there, the minig was to return the kesef kedushin. Shar Bava Mai, but what's the meaning by the other cities in Bava? And Rabbi they both say, Moyarei, those matanis that a chassan sends to the kala after the kedushin. Now Moyares and sivlenes were the same. It's just 2 categories. Those that were called sivlenes were not written in the ksuba, but those that were Moyarei were those matanis that are under the category of Moyarei were written in the ksuba. Says the Gemara, they have to be returned to the Baal if the Isha died before she entered into the Chuppah. But Kedushay loy hade, but the Kedushay Kesef doesn't have to be returned even if she died before the marriage. The halacha is whether whether he died, whether she died, or he retracted and divorced her willingly, the matanis that he gave after the innocence, he has to return. Kiddush loyade. With the Kiddushin, he doesn't have to return. But what's if she retracted from the marriage, then afilu Kiddushin amehade. Then even the Kiddushin, the money, the kesef Kiddushin has to be returned to the husband. Amema Kiddushin lo yahadi. Amema says the Kiddushin, even though she retracted, she doesn't return the money of the Kiddushin. Gzeira, because of a Gzeira. Shema, those that had seen that she returned the Kesef Kiddushin, Yaimim, they'll say, this was a mistake. The Kiddushin was a Kiddushin to us. And she has a sister. He can marry the sister. Really, once he was Mekadosh to one sister, he can never be Mekadosh to the next sister. And they'll say, people will know that it was a real Kiddushin with the first sister. So they'll say, Kiddushin, Tevis Ma'achesa, that the Kiddushin will be Tevis by the next sister, because they won't think that it was a real Kiddushin. Ravashi argues. Ravashi that's some zach that he has to give her again. That's a proof that they were married, and she won't be able to get married with the sister. The Gemara slugs that up. The Gemara says, Ravashi, but they say this that Ravashi said is a mistake. People that will hear that she gave back the Kesef Kiddushin, and they'll think it's a Kiddushin tais, and really he can marry the sister. They won't hear that there was a get. So the Gemara goes back to the Mishnah where we learn Shushvinin Nikmas Bebezdin, that the Shushvinin, the Nois, who was a groomsman by, let's say Reuben was a groomsman by Shimon. Now Shimon has to reciprocate and give back matanis to Reuben when he gets married. If he doesn't do it, it can be collected in Bezdin. That's what the Mishnah said. There were 5 things that were said by Shushvinis. Nikbis bebezdin, that the Shushvinis, like we just said, explained, could be collected in Bezdin. That it could only be returned at the time when the nice and the one that gave matan is now getting married. Then it has to be returned. And there's no din of ribis. And Shviz cannot be mishamit this and say, okay, once Shviz came through, he doesn't have to return the favor and give the matanis. And if the Shushvinis was given after the man died, the presents, and it goes to the Yarshim, the Bechai doesn't take double in it. Nikvis Bezdin, my time, why could it be collected in Bezdin? Why could the nice matana, the one that gave matana to, let's say, Reuben gave to Shimon, now that Reuben is getting married, why could he collect it in Bezdin and demand from him to give him back Kamilva Damya? Because it has a din like a milva. But there is no din of ribis. L'mashal, if he wants to give back a bigger present, that's not ribis. Because the lava died to the Achiyavle. When he did nice and gave the matana, he didn't give it as a loan that he should get back in return more. So this that he's adding is not as a schar for this that he gave him a present, I'm giving you back more. Only he's giving him back as a friend. He's giving back as a friend to join the simcha. And Shviz cannot be mishamit. Shviz is mishamit when the loan is due in Shviz and you want to be able to collect, and so that's the time to collect. Says the Torah, you cannot collect with Shviz is mishamit. But what's if the loan was for 10 years and Shviz is the middle? Shviz, at the time of Shviz, is not mishamit alone, because that wasn't a time that he could only be in a time when he could pressure you to pay back the loan. But the time of Shviz wasn't a time of the loan to be paid back. That's there. Here, if Shviz came in the middle and he didn't yet get married, the one that gave the matanis didn't yet become a chassan till after Shviz. So then Shviz is not mishamit, because he cannot demand. It's not the time to be able to demand the present that he wants presents back till he gets married, and he didn't get married till after the Shviz. We said if the presents fell to the Yarshin, the Bechai doesn't take double. Because this mammon is considered as Ra'ui, and Ra'ui, Bechai cannot get in something that was in properties that will come after the death of the father. He doesn't get a double portion. Mechai doesn't take a double portion. It's something that will come back, it will come into the nechasim or come into the estate after the father's death. He can only get a double portion at what there is at the time of the father's death. Rav Kahana said, the Shushvinus, the rules of a Shushvin, that he has to return the presents, have a b'masa, if the Mekabel Be'ir was in the place of the one who gave him matana, where his friend was getting married. He should have came to the wedding. And if he doesn't come to the wedding, he must give the presents even though he didn't eat and come to the wedding. Shomakal Tabla, if he heard the ringing of that there's a notification that everybody should come to Simchas Chassan, and he knew that his friend is getting married, he should have came. But so then he has to give, even though he didn't come, he's going to have to give back the present. If he didn't hear that ring, a notification, then the one who gave him the matana should have notified him that he's getting married. Then his friend has a taina. Says the Gemara, Shalom Mishalom. In such a case, he has to pay the Shushvinis, but he doesn't have to pay the full amount. How much does Kuri deduct? Meaning the Shushvin, the groomsman, would add zuzah. They would be mechuyev to return to the Shushvinis the worth of a zuz, because that's what they would be mishtatet and eat from the simcha. Whatever they had in the hand and brought as a matana, they would eat that amount. But if he obligated himself to give 4 zuz, then he only has to pay 2. If he obligated to give himself to give as a groomsman to this person more than 4 zuzim, inish kachashibusei. Each person, according to the cheshivas of that person, and Bezdin would evaluate how much such a person would give, and according to that schum, they would deduct from what he was mechuyev to. They would deduct what kind of food he would eat by the wedding, and the rest he would have to give as a matana to the one that gave him the matanas. If he was his groomsman by an open big wedding, and the one that gave the matanas want to make a smaller wedding, so the one that received the matanas from the Naisen could say to the Naisen, you came as a groomsman to my big wedding, and I want to come. I want to come to your wedding, to such a wedding, like you were a groomsman by me. And since it's not, I don't have to give you. I don't have a chiyuv to return you such matanis. Another case, a similar case, Asimanu Bepsula. The Shishvinis, he was a groomsman. Reuben came to Shimon as a groomsman and gave presents when the Shimon got married to Absula. But Reuben was getting married to Almana. He says, I'm ready to come to you as a groomsman to give you presents if you get married to Absula, which is a much bigger wedding than Almana. But if you're getting married to Almana, I'm not mechiv to give you back presents. If he was a groomsman by his friend Reuben went to Shimon as a groomsman, but it was a second marriage. And now Shimon has to come to Reuben, but Reuben is getting married for the first time. So the Mekabel could say to the one that gave him the matanis, He says, when you get married a second time, then I'll be your groomsman. I'll give you presents, just like by my wedding, it was the second one. Also, once when the Reuben came to Shimon, who was marrying one woman, and he invited him to his wedding, that he should be his groomsman when he was marrying two women. So the Shimon could say in return to Reuben, you came to my wedding marrying one woman. You asked me to come to your wedding marrying two women. He says, with one woman, if you marry one woman, I'll be your groomsman and give you the presents like me. Just like when you came to my wedding was with one woman. But now that you're marrying two women, I don't have to participate. I don't have to be your shushvim pamayim. Twice. It says, Ata Nixon, somebody who's a wealthy person in fields and vineyards and olive press, which the wealth is seen to everybody. Ata Pumbi, or somebody who has a lot of behemoths, everybody sees his wealth. Zo Bal Agodes. That's a person who's bucky in Agodes. And he could darshan in all places. B'yam Tevim, everybody comes around to listen to him. And his wisdom is Nekeres L'Rabim. It's like, just like the Scheda, everybody sees his wealth. Atasloyim, if he was a usher in coins, that means he was a shulchani, that he traded coins and he made parnasa from exchanging coins. Or he had like a tekoa of oil, which has all different types of tastes and levels. Zelbal Pilpul, that's somebody who is mefalpun and divrei Torah. Every day he comes up with many, many different reasonings, just like a shulchani does a lot of exchanges in order to make a parnasa, a profit, and the same thing with the oils that he has, all different tastes. That's how he makes his parnasa. That's pilpul. If he's a usher in something that's measured, and you place it in a storage, and you only take it out at certain times and sell it, and the same thing a usher and other things that he is lechatchila to put in storage, and you don't make a panos every day from it, only at times. At certain times, he takes it out of his ace and he's out of his storage to sell it. So Baal Shmois. This is somebody who's baki in halachis, and in the words of the Hamarayim, but his chokhmah is not visible every day. When the right time comes and somebody needs the psak, there you'll see his knowledge. Everybody needs mechitin. It's impossible to live without wheat, from which we make bread. That's the bread. Gemara, that's going on the Gemara. Gemara is the bread of all limudim. Shedei sugis haTalmud. He knows all the sugis of the Talmud and the terutzim of the Mishnayos and the steers of the Mishnayos and the Braises. Without that, a person cannot paskin iser het or dinei mamanis. Again, you cannot paskin, and it's impossible to paskin halacha from a Mishnah or from a Braisa. If you're just looking just a Mishnah or Braisa, Gemara is what gives you the timing behind everything. All the days of my porn is bad. Which ani are we referring to? Bal Gemara. And that's Bal Gemara, that he gives himself over to be mechab the halachis, but it's every day. It's very hard to come to clarity. I tell you like Mishnah Tam, it's Bal Mishnah. Because Bal Mishnah, he just learns a Mishnayos and he doesn't see all the stiras. So he's more happy, satisfied. It's just the opposite. Kol Yimei Ani Royim is going on the Baal Mishnah because he can never figure out the reasoning from what he's learning in the Mishnah. He's never satisfied. He doesn't know the reasoning behind it. But the table of the Mishnah Tamin going on the Baal Gemara, He knows he's a buck in the Mishnais, and he knows how to derive what's the halacha lemaisa because he knows the time of Bava. And this is what Rabbi Shasha said in the name of Rabbi Ma'aseh Avonim, somebody who takes out, uproots stones from the mountain Ya'atzev and gets weary, gets tired by Kayetz, and one who breaks wood, Yisachmahem, gets warmed from it. Those that take out the stones from the mountain, those are the Bali Mishnah. They learn Mishnah every day, but they only have tsar from the learning because they don't understand the reasoning behind it. But by Kayetz, and those that break the wood and are warmed from it, Ilal Bali Gemara is going on those that learn Gemara. All his days, in the days of Ani, is bad, is going on a bad woman. He's referring to a good woman. That's why he's happy. This is on a person who gets disgusted from any little dirty thing. Any little dirt, he gets all disgusted. A good heart, meaning he's always happy, is a person who could absorb. He sees something disgusting, he doesn't go crazy, and so he's always happy. All the days of Ani is bad. So Rachman is a person whose heart cries at any bad thing that he sees. Somebody who, what is V'tevlev? A good heart, and he's always joyful, is going to Achsari, that he's not mitzvah if he sees something bad happening to others. He's more of a harsh person, a cold person. All the days of Ani is bad, evil. That's somebody who's a miser. Mishnah is going at somebody who gives, and he's not a miser, and he understands everything with a breiter eifen, with a good eye. It says all the days of Ani is bad. How can you say that? That there's no Ani that doesn't have mezenes for the Yom Tovim and Shabbosis. And we know it says over here that there will be mechalik to the Aniyim, the mezenesayim, from Erev Shabbos to Erev Shabbos. The Shabbos itself, there was for every Ani b'shefa. They had a lot. Like Shmuel. Because the change of the natural way of eating is what made them sick. They would eat only dry bread, and then Shabbos they would come and have fresh and everything from good food. That change would hurt them and make them feel hurt their stomachs, and they would feel bad. See, Ben Sira and the Sefer Mishlei, it's written, Smashma, only his days are bad, but the nights when he goes to sleep, he has menucha. Ben Sira even the nights are bad. Mishval Gagim Gagoy, because his roof is lower than the rest of the roofs around him. And the rains that fall on the higher roofs fall then on his roof, which is the lowest, and he can't sleep because of the noise of the rain. Krum Harim Kamei, it says his vineyard is on the top of the mountains, and it's the worst because it's hard rock and you can't really plant anything. And also from his soil it falls down to the lower ones. So he really doesn't have much to work with. And that's why even the nights of his are constantly in tsar because he's constantly losing money.